If you like it cheesy, then please add cheese. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try one of the meatballs just to see how it tastes with a bit of the pasta and the sauce. Oh yeah, that's really good. I really like that. So that is our dinner this evening done. Hi everyone and welcome back to Giggy's Kitchen, and if you are new here then hello and welcome. My name's Alexis, and in today's video I want to share with you how to make my delicious smoky barbecue meatballs with a tomato pasta sauce. As I just mentioned, today I want to share with you how to make my delicious smoky barbecue meatballs with a tomato sauce. So this recipe is really easy. I'm making my meatballs from scratch, and I'm also making the tomato sauce from scratch as well, but I promise you they are so easy to make. So in this bowl here I have about 500 grams of minced beef. Then in this small bowl here I have about 4 tablespoons of ground flaxseed. If you can't get ground flaxseed, then you can always use breadcrumbs instead. So, and to that I have added 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika. I've also added 1 teaspoon of ground ginger, and I've added another teaspoon of ground cumin, and then I've added a little touch of cayenne pepper just to add a little bit of spice. If you want to add more cayenne pepper and make them spicier, then you're more than welcome to. I'm serving this to a 9-year-old, which is why I've only added a little bit of the cayenne pepper. So I'm just going to tip all of those ingredients into my bowl, and then to that I'm going to add an egg as well. So I'm just going to put the egg in, and then I'm going to add some salt and pepper. Salt and pepper to your taste. If you don't like it, you don't have to add it, but if you like me and just like a touch of it on your meat, then that's fine as well. So I'm just going to add a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper as well, like so. And then I'm going to add about a teaspoon, or a tablespoon, sorry, of tomato puree, which is just going in now, like so. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and dampen my hands. I'm going to make this mixture into meatballs. I have dampened my hands, so my hands are nice and wet, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix all of these ingredients together until they form like a dough ball, basically. You want everything well mixed in, so scrunch everything together, and hopefully you'll be able to form a nice dough ball out of the mixture. And then I'm going to go and dampen my hands again, and I shall make these now into meatballs. What I like to do is split the mixture into 4 parts, and then those 4 parts I make about 3 or 4 meatballs from. So I like to grab a piece of the mixture and just roll it between my hands like so, and then I'm just going to put that onto a plate. So I'm just going to set that aside. So I've grabbed another piece, and I'm just rolling it between my hands like so, and then I just put it on the plate. And I'm going to continue to do this with the rest of the mixture until I've used it all up. I've finished making the meatballs, and I've made about 16, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these into the fridge for a couple of hours, and then I'll cook them off. If you haven't got a couple of hours, you could make these the night before and store them in the fridge, or you could make these in the morning and store them in the fridge as well, and then you can just cook them off when you want to eat them. They're also brilliant frozen as well, so you could make the meatballs and just freeze them, and then all you have to do is defrost them and cook them when you want them. So, as I said, I'm going to put these in the fridge for a couple of hours, and while these are in the fridge, I'm going to be making the sauce for the pasta. As I said, next I'm going to make the sauce for the pasta. So what I've done is I've put a large pan, and I'm going to put this onto a high heat on my hob, and then I'm going to add oil to the base of that pan, and I'm going to leave the oil to heat up. The pan is getting nice and hot, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn the heat down slightly, and then I'm going to add 1 onion that I've peeled, sliced and diced to the base of the pan. I'm going to fry the onions now until they start to soften and go a lovely golden brown colour. The onions have started to soften and go a lovely golden brown colour. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in 2 cloves of garlic that I have simply peeled and sliced. It doesn't really matter if they're not evenly proportioned, I suppose you say. You can just roughly chop the garlic and roughly chop the onions because we're going to blend this sauce at the end anyway. And I'm just going to fry, if the onion doesn't keep coming out the pan, the garlic for about 30 seconds or so, just until you can smell it basically. Because once you can smell it, that's probably about perfect time. You don't want it too well done because garlic can go bitter when it's burnt. So if you don't like burnt garlic, then I'd only fry the garlic for about 30 seconds or so, just to give the onions and the oil in the pan a bit of flavour. And now I'm going to add in, it's meant to be 1 red pepper, but I didn't have a red pepper today, so I'm adding in 1 orange pepper. And I have simply just sliced the top, removed the core and the stalk, and then just sliced and diced the flesh. So I'm just going to add that in, and I'm going to fry that for a few minutes until it won't soften, but you just want to penetrate it with a little bit of heat. And it doesn't matter too much because, as I said earlier, we are going to blend these ingredients together. So you just want to fry it until you've penetrated it with heat, just so it starts to cook down in the pan. So I'm just going to continue to fry the pepper for another few minutes. So the pepper has sort of started to soften. It's not particularly soft, but as I said, that doesn't really matter. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in 1 courgette that I've peeled and grated. I actually find it easier to grate vegetables if I can. I'm not very good at grating peppers, but courgettes, or zucchinis as they call them in other parts of the world, I don't mind grating them. It also means that this will fry slightly quicker because I won't need to heat the courgette for longer. But if you do decide to slice and dice the courgette, then obviously you'll probably need to fry it for a slightly longer than I am. Just to get the heat through it and just to get it to soften, but this has already really softened. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the garlic back in. This garlic and onion don't want to be in this pan today, do they? So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add in my tomatoes. So I've got 2 tins of chopped tomatoes here. I'm going to add to the base of the pan as well. So I'm going to add that, and then I have got a little bit of chicken stock that I'm going to add to this as well. And I also wanted to show you that that's how you can clear out a pan. Just add a little bit of chicken stock, and basically that will clear out a tin, that will get rid of the juice from around the sides of the tin. So I'm just going to turn the heat back up on this and leave it to simmer, and get it to boil and then leave it to simmer. And while I'm waiting for this to simmer, I'm going to preheat my oven now to 200 degrees, and hopefully once the sauce is done, I'll be able to put the meatballs in the oven. It has been a couple of hours, so they have been in the fridge for a couple of hours. I know it doesn't seem like that in YouTube videos, but I promise you it has been a couple of hours. So I shall preheat the oven now, and then I'll put those in and I'll leave this to simmer for probably about 20 minutes or so. The sauce has come to the boil, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just turn the heat down to a medium to low heat, and I'm going to leave this to simmer until it becomes jammy. So basically what you want is some of the juice to disappear from the top, some of the water, and the sauce to look slightly jammy, so slightly gluey, if you know what I mean. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend these ingredients once it's cooled. So the sauce has started to thicken slightly and it's started to look jammy. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this from the heat and I'm going to leave it to cool, and then I will blend it in the blender. But before I do that, I must remember to add some dried mixed herbs to this as well. I forgot to do that earlier, so I'm going to add them now and just stir those in. And then, as I said, I'm going to remove this from the heat and leave it to cool. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it into my blender, if it doesn't end up all over us, that is. So I'm just going to pour that into the blender like so. And then I'm going to put the lid on. And all I'm simply going to do is just blend all of these ingredients together. If I turn it on at the wall, that is. There you go. So I'm going to blend all of these ingredients now. I have blended these ingredients until they are smooth, and I have poured them back into the saucepan, as you can see. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this onto a medium heat, a low to medium heat, and I'm going to leave this on the hob to cook away, and I'm going to go and put the meatballs in the oven. As I said, I'm going to put the meatballs into the oven now, and what I have done is, while the oven was preheating, I preheated a baking tray. So this is a stoneware baking tray, and it doesn't need any oil, but if you need to oil your baking tray before you put it in, or before you put the meatballs in, then please do. So I preheated the baking tray, and hopefully what that's going to do is penetrate the meat and make the meatballs very juicy. So as I said, I'm going to put this in the oven now for about 25 to 30 minutes, or until they go golden brown. As you can see, the meatballs have cooked, so I left those in the oven for about 30 minutes until they'd gone a lovely golden brown colour. And while the meatballs were cooking, I cooked off some pasta on the hob. So this is a gluten-free pasta, which is why it's green. It's a split green pea pasta. We really like it. You can use any type of pasta you like. And of course, while the meatballs were cooking, I left the sauce on a low heat just to thicken it slightly. And then once the pasta had cooked, I added the pasta to the sauce and not the other way round. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add some meatballs to the pasta and sauce. So I'm just going to put these on top. You can add cheese to this if you wanted to. Parmesan works really well. Or you could add a bit of cream cheese in the sauce as well if you like. If you like it cheesy, then please add cheese. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try one of the meatballs just to see how it tastes with a bit of the pasta and the sauce. Oh yeah, that's really good. I really like that. So that is our dinner this evening done. That's how you make my delicious smoky barbecue meatballs with a tomato pasta sauce, and that recipe I will link in the description box below for you. As I mentioned earlier, we're going to be having this for our dinner this evening, and it smelled and tasted so good, I can't wait. So for now, that's it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Please feel free to give me a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and please feel free to leave any comments below. And please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. See you all soon. Bye.